Buddha once said, "We are what we think about most," and that's because thoughts become things. It is so important that you and your child develop positive thinking. The power and the importance of positive thinking is instrumental to success in anyone, not just yourself or your child, and anyone to succeed in life. I'm your host, Dr. Jamie Schwandt, and our show is going to provide you some tools, inspiration, and motivation to success. We're going to provide you a show that will truly help you to dream big, think positive, and take action. We're going to bring you interviews from people across this great state of Kansas. We're going to bring you leaders from this community. We're going to bring you teachers, coaches. We're going to bring you military leaders and some great people to inspire and motivate you. So please stay tuned. We have a great show for you today.
Every individual has value and the right to be treated with dignity. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas support persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and are dedicated to the worth of each person. To help DSNWK give the best of a vast array of services, we invite you to log on to our Plan Giving website. It features valuable ideas on ways to plan for the future and receive benefits. Lives are transformed by your support of people with disabilities for generations to come. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas.
Hi, I'm Seth Castle, owner of Castle Books Publishing here in Hays, Kansas. I've purchased advertising time here on Eagle Community Television to help support veteran-owned small businesses in our community. So if you're a veteran-owned small business and would be interested in using this advertising time, please go to my website, www.castlebooks.com, and click on the Veterans Outreach tab. Thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
He cries in the corner where nobody sees. He's the kid with the story no one would believe. He prays every night, "Dear God, won't you please, could you send someone here who will love me?"
Help a child know they're special. Adopt. Call or go online to learn how.
Who will love me for me?
Simon's tax, accounting, and financial planners have been trusted by their clients for decades. At Simon's, they take a holistic approach with a comprehensive portfolio of services for their clients. Make your appointment today and enjoy a better tomorrow for you and your family. Simon's Tax, Accounting, and Financial Planners, 1007 Cody Avenue in Hays.
Welcome everyone to Dreaming Big with Dr. Schwandt. I'm your host, Dr. Jamie Schwandt, and I have a very awesome guest here today. I have the First Lady of the state of Kansas, Mary Brownback. So Mary, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this interview. I know you're a Kansas University grad, and your husband, the governor, he is a K-State and University of Kansas grad.
Yes.
But before we begin, I just want to ask you, are you fine with the Governor's Cup being at Kansas State?
Well, lately I've been going for K-State for football and KU for basketball.
Oh, I see.
That seems to be a winning combination at this point.
It's probably the safe bet. So, but I just had to ask you that question.
Yes.
But again, thank you so much for being on. What I wanted to start at the interview with, I just wanted you to explain to the audience a little bit of who you are, not necessarily as the First Lady, but as Mary Brownback, who you are, and kind of what all you do. Because I know you're an advocate for foster care, and that's something we're going to talk about here later on. But just explain a little bit about kind of what you do and who you are.
Well, I am a wife and a mother, and now a grandmother.
Oh, congratulations.
We have 5 children. 3 biological and 2 adopted. So that's how I got into the adoption area. And our children are international adoptions, not domestic or foster care. I think that's a decision everybody has to decide for themselves, and there's numerous reasons why you would do one and not the other, or whatever fits your family.
Mm-hmm.
So I became an advocate of adoption, and through that ran into the foster care system. And as First Lady, I've talked to the people at Department of Children and Families about foster care, and it's a great program, but on ways to improve it, on ways to improve the aging out of the system. And there's always room for improvement, even in a good system.
No, that's a great point. I wanted to ask you, and you've kind of alluded to it so far, what motivates you? Obviously sends a strong message that you adopted, but what motivates you to be that advocate? Are there anything else that motivates you to be that advocate for foster care or adoption or just helping anyone in need?
Well, I think that you see these kids in orphanages around the world or in foster care in the United States, and it just breaks your heart that they don't have a family to call their own, or as they grow up, that if they go to college, to go back to a home, the foster family might serve that purpose, but it might not when they age out. That may be the last that they see of them. And so it just seems like they need a support system. The people, there was National Adoption Day not long ago, and the people that adopt from foster care really are my heroes, because they're usually older children, and some of them come with difficult issues, and those people, they do a fine job.
And I was a former foster child, so I came into foster care at the age of 12. I was pretty deviant, so I did some bad things as a kid. So I understand what it's if I had to bring in or adopt a kid like me, that'd be very difficult. So I could see the hesitancy there, especially for the older children. But as we were talking before the show, foster children really don't have that. Parents, before they're in foster care, they don't have parents that really want to give them opportunities to thrive or succeed, or they just can't or don't know how. But what they do have are the great people in foster care. So that's why the foster care system and the people in DCF and the contracts across the state are extremely important to the success of foster care. And we'll talk more about foster care in a little while, but what I wanted to ask you, you're doing so much for foster care and helping those in need and helping people overcome adversity. Do you have a personal story where you had to, overcome adversity or a significant obstacle in your life that you would want to share?
Well, based on what the adversity other people face, I've been very blessed. I was an athlete in high school and college, and I guess I would go back and talk about competition and overcoming the opponent, where you just have to stick with it and keep churning out and trying to do the right thing, and what will push you forward in athletics. But in general, like I said, I've been very blessed. I had two great parents, an intact family, siblings.
What about adopting your two children? Adversity there with the international adopting, was that a difficult?
Well, we had issues that you had to wait and then fill out forms and wait, and then you get a child assigned to you, and then there will be an obstacle that comes up, and then you have to wait for them to figure out how to get beyond that. For example, Mark, we adopted him from Guatemala, and after he was assigned to us, there was some sort of snafu in the documents, and we had to wait 3 or 4 extra months, and at that point we weren't sure that it was actually going to happen, so we put all of our information in at another adoption agency, and then they cleared up the difficulties, and we went down to Guatemala in May of 1999 and picked up Mark. And, we thought that was all fine and good, but our application to the other agency that we had put in when we thought we weren't getting Mark is how we got Jenna, because it was still there. And so 6 months later, we brought Jenna home from China.
Oh, wow, that's...
So 3 to 5 in 6 months.
Wow. So I'm sure it's quite a bit different than probably adopting someone from the States, or?
Well, I mean, I can't really say, having never adopted from the States.
Yeah.
They're a little bit different because Mark's orphanage was very loving. There were lots of mission trips that went down. It was run by people from the Baptist Church. Jenna's, on the other hand, was a very sterile environment. A large number of kids in the orphanage, didn't have much loving. She was very standoffish when we got her. Mm-hmm. So we had, those difficulties and some language barriers at the beginning. But like I say, we've been blessed. I know people who have done international adoptions, some from Russia that they really had to overcome difficult issues with the care that they received in the orphanages or lack thereof.
Well, let's take a brief commercial break. When we come back, we're going to kind of get into the meat of the interview. We're going to talk a little bit about foster care and some of the great things that the state of Kansas and that you guys are doing in foster care. So please stay tuned.
Learn more about us at januscampaign.org.
Your child deserves to know you care, even if you can't be by her side every day. If you owe the state of Kansas for back child support, we've got a new program that helps you pay down your debt while paving the way for your child's higher education. It takes just a $25 investment to get started. Learn more at www.dcf.ks.gov. Helping you build a healthy family and support your child to succeed.
Hello, I am Dr. Jamie Schwandt, and as a former foster child, I want to give back and help others succeed. I've wrote 2 books dedicated to foster families. Last year, I wrote Succeeding as a Foster Child. This book is a roadmap for success for foster children. My second book, Finding Your Hero, was recently published. This book is a children's book for foster children and provides a positive message for foster families. These books are great resources for foster families and can be found at jamieschwandt.com. Thank you and God bless.
At Eagle Communications, we're proud to provide the communication services you need to get the most from today's technology. Our employee owners make it happen. We're part of your community, and we take pride in delivering excellent customer service. If you ever have a question, give us a call. We're here to help. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Welcome back to Drew Me Big with Dr. Schwandt. We're coming back with our second part of our interview with the First Lady here, Mary Brownback. So, Mary, we talked a little bit about overcoming adversity in your personal story, and talked a little bit about adoption. What I wanted to talk to you about is the foster care message. And we talked a little bit before the interview about kind of what I would like to see as a message for foster care. Too often we hear those negative stories. We hear what's going wrong in foster care, and we hear all these problems. So when I did my dissertation and I wrote about it in my book, Succeeding as a Foster Child, I found former foster children that were going to college. I want to know how they did it. And so that's what I was really trying to research. And I think that is a great way to do it. If we can focus on what's going right and build on those success stories of foster children who have, been through the works and they are still, coming through. And then even focus on the community. So in my second book that's just coming out, Finding Your Hero, I focus on the foster parent, the teacher, the coach, the social worker, who are the superheroes that do so much to building, that foster child. Because foster care truly saved my life, and it's because of those great people in the foster care system. So now I'll quit talking about the message in foster care, and I want to hear your message in foster care, and I think this, the people of the great state of Kansas would like to hear it as well.
Well, I think we have great foster parents. And they do a fabulous job in a difficult situation where they don't know when a child may be coming in or how long they're staying with them, and all dependent upon the court system. I think one of the biggest challenges of foster care is to help the foster child like you who ages out of the system. And I think that we need to help them through that process, where someone like me, when you go to college or you start work, your parents say, oh, we've got an old couch in the basement you can have, or we have some old dishes here that you can have. Foster kids don't have that. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to provide some support when they age out of the system.
No, I agree, and it's not even looking at it as, take our old furniture. It's even a college student, you need that help and you need that support, and anything you can provide to help them along their journey.
Come home to our house for Thanksgiving, because
Yes.
many of them think, where am I going to go? The dorm's going to close. What am I going to do? I don't have anywhere to go.
That's a great point. So I think we agree on the message in foster care, and it starts with that positive message, and then we really need to give these kids as much support as possible, because
Yes.
they don't have that, and I think that's probably easy to forget. And just the simple things of, you're a foster child, you're making it through life, you're in school, Thanksgiving, Christmas break come up, what do you do? So, and I was lucky enough where I still had the relationship with foster parents in the community where I always had somewhere to go. I didn't always go, but that was on me.
Yeah.
But I was always invited. So I think that's an important, very important. So.
I think they can really use programs similar to what has been started in the prison, is a mentoring system, mm-hmm. so that when the people get out of prison, they've already have in place a relationship with this mentor who provides them with a place to go, provides them with support coming out of prison. And I think we can just move that over to the foster care system, where they gain a relationship before the child ages out of foster mm-hmm. care, so that relationship is built. And then as they age out, they can still call the person and say, I don't know what to do here. Like calling your mom and dad and saying, I don't know what to do here. What do you think I should do here? They would have this relationship with a mentor to help them through those situations.
Yeah, and it's not that we're not advocating foster children as prisoners.
Absolutely not.
It's a paradigm.
It's the same program, is mm-hmm. that these people have to, they need help getting their life together
to keep them out of prison.
To keep them out of prison, and the prisoners that get out need help staying out.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, and it's whatever model that is used for different programs. Yeah, why not adopt it? And so good point. I never would have thought of that. So great point. I wanted to ask you a couple advice questions. So for foster children, let's use the first one. For foster children or foster parents, would you have any advice for a foster child or for a foster parent, not necessarily as a first lady, but just as a mother or from Mary Brownback?
Well, I know that, for example, there's an organization here in Topeka that will provide respite care for the foster parents, so that the foster kids can go into a home that's already been vetted and is safe if the foster care parents need a weekend away or something along that line. And I think a lot of the churches are stepping up and providing some meals. Many churches now have a foster care support program within the church. So I would think that the foster parents need to find these services and take advantage of them, which will provide them with more support as they bring these kids into their family.
That's a great point. And I think the religious community, I think back to my time in foster care in the greatest town of its size, Kensington, Kansas. We had a whole 500 people. Great town, great community, still my home. The religious support, the community there, I wasn't a religious guy, or I wasn't even introduced to God until I went into foster care. That was one of the greatest gifts that foster care could have ever provided me. But I think they could be the backbone of the foster care system. They probably already are, like you mentioned with the support systems. So that's great advice for a foster parent. Seek out, the church community in your local area, especially in Kansas with so many small towns. Those are the foundations of our small towns.
Right.
Any specific advice for a foster child?
Well, I would think, you would have better advice, but I would think that you would want to create a relationship with a teacher or a social worker at the school or a coach. Oftentimes, then, if you can build that bond, then they're sort of mentoring you without a specific program taking place.
And that's why I wrote Finding Your Hero, and it was so cool when I reached out to, when I was telling this, my teacher, superhero, my foster parent, my coach, and my social worker, when I was telling what I was doing, it was pretty cool because they look back and like, oh, I didn't even realize I was, helped you out so much. So yeah, spot on. I think that's great advice.
It goes back to if you're kind to someone, you never know what they need. And the kindness you provide may be exactly what they needed at that time, and you consider it no big deal, and to them it was everything.
One more advice question, and then I have to get a book from you. For our viewers out there that are not necessarily foster parents or have no interest in being a foster parent, or do you have any advice for them on how they can still help foster children out? Is there anything they could do now?
Foster children or the foster families?
The community helping out, anything in foster care.
Well, I think that they could go to some of these programs that provide support to the foster families and see what the help they need. Maybe they need some type of baby equipment, and you could donate, or you could purchase and donate. Or perhaps the foster family needs some meals because this particular foster child has some issues that are very trying on the family, and meals coming in would be fabulous. You have to kind of see what the situation is, see who has the program. Go to your church and see if they have a foster care support committee set up. But if not, you could set one up. Or, you could set it up in your community, even, for example, maybe through the chamber, if you wanted to take the religious aspect out of it.
That's great advice. And so basically take action, go out and find a way to help.
Right.
Now I want to ask you, so I love to read. Leaders are readers. And so my goal is to read 100 books a year. I got that from Tony Robbins, and I read one of his books. He had a more ridiculous number. So out of all the books that you read, I know you're a reader, is there any book that you turn to for inspiration or you would recommend to our viewers today?
Well, I thought about this, and now I'm blanking on the titles, but I remember I read a book on a woman who escaped from North Korea. And also I remember the time when I was Googling this particular author, there were several books by people who escaped North Korea. But this particular one, it took her 7 or 8 years to travel from North Korea to get through China, because they're not very hospitable to people coming out of North Korea and generally send them back. But it took her 7 or 8 years to get to South Korea and actually become free. And if that's not perseverance.
That's pretty awesome.
I read another book about a gentleman in Kansas City who was in a wreck where he was in a car, stopped on the side of the road, and was hit from behind and was burned very badly. And just his story on overcoming that and getting through that process, you're like, wow. And then the third one I thought of was a minister who lost his, I think she was 5, his 5-year-old little girl 5 days before Christmas to an asthma attack. And he had to step up and keep moving forward because he was a lead pastor and had to put on all the Christmas services. And each one of those people had to just buckle down and persevere and push through. And, you know, if they can do it, you know, my issues have been far less. You know, if they can do it, you know, I can buckle down and do whatever I need to do.
No, great advice. And then I'll try to find out some of the book titles, and maybe we can put them on the screen or something.
Yes.
But I wanted to thank you so much for being on the show today. I want to wish you and your husband best of luck leading this great state of Kansas.
You.
I truly believe this is. I've lived across the nation and because I'm for the military, and this is the best state, the best place to be. You know, Kansas holds a very special place in my heart. So, and you guys
It's
are doing.
a great place.
You guys probably have one of the most difficult jobs. I know your husband does. You guys are. From my foxhole, you guys are doing a very phenomenal job, so keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Well, that does it for the show. I want to thank everyone for viewing and thank our awesome guest, the First Lady, Mary Brownback, for being on. So thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
Hi, I'm Seth Castle, owner of Castle Books Publishing here in Hays, Kansas. I've purchased advertising time here on Eagle Community Television to help support veteran-owned small businesses in our community. So if you're a veteran-owned small business and would be interested in using this advertising time, please go to my website, www.castlebooks.com, and click on the Veterans Outreach tab. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Learn more about us at januscampaign.org.
Simon's tax, accounting, and financial planners have been trusted by their clients for decades. At Simon's, they take a holistic approach with a comprehensive portfolio of services for their clients. Make your appointment today and enjoy a better tomorrow for you and your family. Simon's Tax, Accounting, and Financial Planners, 1007 Cody Avenue in Hays.
Every individual has value and the right to be treated with dignity. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas support persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and are dedicated to the worth of each person. To help DSNWK give the best of a vast array of services, we invite you to log on to our Plan Giving website. It features valuable ideas on ways to plan for the future and receive benefits. Lives are transformed by your support of people with disabilities for generations to come. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas.